Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to use NUnit in Monodevelop for unit testing C#. I'll also do another video how to use Visual Studio's built-in unit testing to test out your C# and .NET apps. But for this one, this is how to use NUnit in Monodevelop. It's really nice. So I have this class CMBase64, and it's just a wrapper to help you encode and decode from strings from base 64, right? So we have our unit test class here. It's real easy to make. You just hit create new file, NUnit test fixture, and then type in whatever you want and hit new, and it will create this test fixture class. So you can do it yourself. You can just import the using NUnit framework and then have a tag of test fixture on the class, and then any method you want to test needs the test tag here. So this is the constructor for this class. So if we need to do any building, creating other objects that we're testing, we can. But because this base 64 class is just static, has some static methods, we don't need to create an instance of that class. So let's make two test methods. Public void test encode, and to do a test we just call assert, and then here are all of our test cases. We can say one argument is greater than another, greater or equal. We can ignore things, whether we get a return back if it's empty or if it's not empty, if it's null or not null, true, false, whatever we want. We have all of these different cases. So on this encode, we just want to test that whatever we get back is not empty. Okay, so we'll say assert is not empty or is empty. We want is not empty, is not empty, and then cm base64 dot encode string. Okay, and we'll just have this is a test. Okay, that's what we're encoding, and now we have our assertion that we want to make. So to make this run, we need to have this tag of test, and then this is ready to be ran. So over here, Windows, I think, unit testing, so view unit testing, you get this little tree here with green lights. And if we want to run all tests, we hit this arrow, and you can see it goes through and it runs all the tests. So everything turned up green, everything worked out. So let's add some more things in. Public void test decode, and we want to assert is not empty again, cm base64 decode string, and let's get a base 64 string. So we got our base 64 string here. Copy that to the clipboard, and then let's paste this in. Alright, so we can just run all of our tests again. Everything gets ran. Oops, we forgot our tag. Test. Alright, now let's run it. So everything gets ran. We can see we added a new test case. Our encode and decode's the same now. So this is basic unit testing. So we can go on, work on our app. If we get a bug introduced, so let's just say on our decode here we have a return null. Okay, and we run our tests, and then we can see over here in our unit test we have test decodes red. We have an error, and so we know exactly where it is. On our decode we have cm base64 decode string. This has an error. We can go find that bug in our application and fix it. So that's a good way of working. We can also test things like R equal, so public void test equal, and we want to assert are the same, okay? Or we can do equals. Alright, so let's set this one up. Let's put our tag in here, test, and let's have a string t equals this is a test, and we'll have another string of e equals cm base64 dot encode string, and we want to encode t, and string d, we want to decode e now, and then we'll test that t and d are equal, because they should if the decoding and encoding works. Okay, so are the same, we want t and d, and we can also input a message in here as a third parameter. All of these assert methods here, you can have a third parameter of whatever message, and we'll just put these are not the same. Okay, and so now we can run our tests. We have our new test here, and we get back test equal failed, so something's wrong here. We may need equal. Let's try this one. Test, make sure they're equal. Let's redo this. Equals t and d. I guess R equals does not have a third one. Alright, and we're having some errors here. Maybe if we do t dot get hash code, then this will be a better assertion. Alright, so this should be the proper way to do it, and we can see that these are equal because we get the hash code of t and d ints, and then we check if those ints are equal. So we can see that everything works. We encode it, then we decode it, and the output should match the original string if you do your correct insertion, which it took me a few times to remember. When you're comparing strings, you'll want get hash code on the strings or other objects to get ints, and then use assert.are equal to compare those ints, and that's how we do that. So that's basic unit testing within Unit and Monodevelop.